Okay, cool.
All right, welcome everybody to this week's edition of the 10X Business Owners Mastermind Group calls. Call comes to you live every single Monday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, and started doing this back in April of 2013. Took a break for a long time, and then this year, lots of business owners wanted me to relaunch it. So every single Monday we get together here. We talk about four different topics. Number one, first Monday of the month, we talk about marketing. Then we talk about sales. Then we talk about operations and service delivery. Then we talk about administrative and finance stuff and legal stuff. And whenever possible, we have a guest expert. And so today we have a guy I would consider a chance to get to know this dude and experience firsthand through a conversation his expertise, did all the vetting, all the research. And so I want to welcome Ruy Garcia Zamora to the call. And Ruy, take a little bit of time to introduce yourself. Tell us about you personally. Tell us about what it is that you do and what makes you an absolute expert in this space of trademarks, patents, intellectual property.
Well, thank you, John. Appreciate you having me. It's really an honor. And thank you to all of your mastermind members who are taking the time to take a look at this video. Glad to be here. I've been in the field of intellectual property as an attorney since 1997. It's been what I do. I guess first as me as a person, I live in Clarksville, Maryland, married now for 26 years, 3 children, and have a wonderful dog, Rosie, who's the laziest golden retriever around. Got into intellectual property, mechanical engineering undergraduate degree. Got into it almost inadvertently, and what I found out when I started, working in the field during law school was that I absolutely loved it. And what I loved about it was that it was such a positive area of law. In this field, I get to be people's Superman. I come in when they've had success, when they're excited about something new, and my focus is how am I going to protect you? And I absolutely love it. When I graduated law school in '97, I went to DC and I worked for a law firm that worked exclusively for Samsung for 2 years. It was a great experience. That's something called domestic prosecution. Without explaining, I'll just say it's a narrow portion of what we do in intellectual property. And my mentor said, you know what, if you really want to have a full career, you have to go somewhere else and get some more skills. So then I went up to a wonderful firm in Philadelphia where I could get a lot of grooming. And I ended up working for one of the largest national law firms, again, doing intellectual property for a lot of domestic clients. Was there for 2 years, had a wonderful time. Eventually I moved to a small firm for 5.5 years. They started out with 9 attorneys, went to about 30. And that was great because that was sort of the rounding out of me learning from others. During that time, 80% of the clients I worked on, I brought to the firm. Over those 7 years after my first job, I'd started with client counseling, client advice, trademark work, assisting with litigations. And really at that time, I was getting where I had a solid view. And so almost 18 years ago, I decided that it was time to start my own law firm. And really I was sort of motivated. My wife, who's a physician, a radiologist, she was finishing her training, thinking about relocating back to the Maryland area where we were both from. And I just felt that I'd never been a job hopper, so I had 2 choices. I could start my own law firm and build it up, or go somewhere else, and I just decided it was time. So that's how I came to where I am now. That's about me. About intellectual property. John, you want me to keep going? Or you want me to just move right into?
So yeah, we can talk about intellectual property and stuff here in just a second. But thanks so much for the info. And so when you look at, where would you like to go first, patents or intellectual property, or both?
Why don't you go ahead and start with patents, and then we'll move over
Okay.
around the other types of intellectual property.
So as a small business owner, like I just had, I can't really go into too much detail, but I just had a client. This is before you and I met. About a month ago, goes, "Hey, I've got this unique process um, that will solve this major problem in the landscape space." And he shared the whole thing with me. And so number one, the first thing out of my mouth was, okay, before you discuss this with anybody else, they need to sign some sort of non-disclosure agreement, man. Okay. Some sort of thing that they acknowledge that, this is your idea. Okay. Because, and don't talk about it with anybody until you talk to an attorney, right? And because the process, the system, the technology was it literally has the ability to change the way things are done for lawns pretty much all over the world. It's a process that doesn't exist. So he meets with a patent attorney. That person corroborates everything, and so now they submit it. So the question I have from a patent standpoint: what are some of the things that when you really think about patents, I think people look at it and go, "Oh my God, that's like that's only for the ultra wealthy, ultra rich people." They forget that somebody invented toilet paper, right? And so, talk to us about the different types of patents. So, as a small business owner, I might be sitting on a gold mine and not even know it.
Well, John, you're way ahead of the game, right down to talking about the non-disclosure agreement first. That is so important, and you really steered your client right, because in patents, once you disclose your idea without a non-disclosure agreement, the clock already starts ticking, and you have 1 year from that date to file whatever you're going to file in the US. And although it's rare, but if you wanted foreign patent rights, it's quite possible that if you don't have that non-disclosure agreement, you'll already have lost them. And you're also right. A lot of people think about patents, they only apply to Apple, IBM, big companies, just as you said. And the reality is, every competitive industry has patents in it. Couple examples. We've done patents on pet products, pet industry products. We've got one of my clients does boating accessories. So it can really be any industry. We just recently did a new tool for someone in the electrical construction area. So really, any area can be covered by patents. We've done office equipment. I have a customer that makes accessories for the rear of pickup trucks. So we have customers. I'm trying to list some of the people that others might not think of right away when thinking about patent protection. So with patent protection, you have two types. And I guess the first thing just to mention is a red flag for when you might have something patentable. If you're working on something, whatever it is, maybe you're trying to design a new keel for your boat and you run into a problem and you spend some time and you figure it out. When you figure out the solution to your problem, that's a red flag that you may have just invented something patentable. So types of patents, there's two general categories: utility patents, which is probably exactly what your landscaping client wanted, which is going to protect how something's made, its structure, the method. That's of the most common type of patent. That's what people typically think about. Then there's another type of patent called design patents. Those can be applicable in other situations. They just protect how something looks. Depending on the situation, we will selectively recommend one type or the other, or both. There's always a reason. We'll always explain it to you, but you'll always understand why. Often, if you're manufacturing a product, then we'll first be looking at utility patent protection, because that will give you typically the broader protection. But then if you have a tool or another product, it's often advantageous to supplement it with design patent protection, because they will issue, although they're more narrow typically, they tend to issue faster. They're easier for the jury or the person you're accusing of infringement to understand. So sometimes they settle a little quicker. It's, you're holding it up. This is our patent. This is the product. Notice how identical they look. So again, it's not meant to say in any way that they're as strong as utility patents, but they play a crucial role. And that can be anything from a new figurine. Tervis has interesting lids on it. Those lids, the unique shape, that could have been a design patent had they thought of it. So it's really all about when you want to stop people from copying the look of your device. And that usually comes into play when you may have, it was used a lot also when we do office products. We'd be presenting a new piece of office equipment. We'd be filing a utility application for the functionality, but then we'd be filing design patents for the look, because we didn't want people to make a cheap copy that maybe doesn't work as well, but looks like it's just as good. So either way, they would try to go after the invention. You could try to block it. So I won't go into more detail unless you have a question for me, because I can always give that.
Sure.
But I will say this: we often start, if you come to us, we will recommend that you start with a patentability search and written opinion. And it's not required. We've had people come and say, I'm an expert, I know I don't need it. We're like, okay, that's fine. But I do always recommend you start with a patentability search and written opinion. And the reason is that's where we're going to go, and we're going to search the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for the most relevant patents we can identify, and in the relevant classifications, and then we'll let you know which aspects of your invention may be patentable. It's not a guarantee, but the important thing is it gives you some data to make a business decision as to whether to go forward with your idea, as opposed to just your gut instinct. Because otherwise, if we're just talking, you don't know what is out there already that's sort of similar to my idea. So, I've generally found them to be very worthwhile to do.
And so let me recap so I can make sure, because I'm a business owner, right? So and for a lot of people listen to this know it's like, okay, I dropped out of high school, I was homeless, all this stuff. It's like I didn't go to college, I didn't have the patience to sit there and listen to the teacher. I'm like, I got to start a business and make money, and I've now built 7 of them. But because I've had great mentors, and so, but the reason I'm even saying this is one of the smartest things I've learned when I started working with Jacob Chia, October 28th, 1990, not that I remember, was one of my very first business mentors. And he said, you know what, let me give you the secret to success. He goes, when you don't know something, okay, the best thing you can do, John, is let your pride and ego down and hire a mentor who's an expert in that space. Okay. And that's how I've been able to build multiple $1 million companies, advise a ton of people, is when I have someone when I'm in the presence of someone like yourself. It's like, okay, if I was a small business owner, one of the things you shared with me is so valuable. Is like, I'm going through my normal day of doing business. Okay. Whether, for me, I'm a coach, consultant. I used to own an IT company, but I'm putting myself in the shoes of the mechanic, the civil engineer, the document management person, the hairstyle, whatever, right? I'm a business owner. We get paid in proportion to the problems we solve. That's why people are in business, right? So for all of you out there to listen to this recording, okay, because this goes out on a podcast channel as well, what he just said is gold. And that is, there might be something that you uniquely do that you learn. Maybe you were working for somebody. Most small business owners are working for somebody. They figure out a better way of doing it, and they go off and they start their own business. Okay. And you now are able to call the shots, and you're like, man, until you figure out all the bookkeeping and the accounting and all the back end BS that your boss never told you about. You're like, why the hell did I do this? But for the most part, your job that you did at your previous employer, you have figured out a better mousetrap. You figured out a better process, a better way of doing it. And what I'm hearing you say is, when you have those ideas, understand those are opportunities. to protect your process, your design, your stuff. Okay. Now, I happen also, for those of you that are just listening to the recording and not watching the video, I also have one of the top marketing geniuses, in my opinion, and top branding Jedi master experts, Adrian Boycell, on the call today. And you're constantly creating a crap ton of stuff from scratch, original content.
Oh, yeah.
And so, what are the questions, what are the comments that you'd like to make off of what Ruy just shared?
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, small business owner, which is what, he's going to bump into more often than not, unless his niche is to go after the big fishes, is like, how do you make it affordable? How does somebody create a patent, protect their IP? Because for me, majority of the stuff is not going to be patents, right? It's going to be intellectual property, and protecting processes and systems that I've created and designed, coaching programs, courses, things like that I don't want anybody taking and ripping off, because that happens a lot in our industry. So I guess my biggest question that usually comes up for me is like, do I just take the risk and run it and make as much money as I can off of this and don't really even worry about, because somebody in China could take my program and rip it off, and am I out of luck, right? And what's my recourse if somebody outside of the country, if somebody in Australia or another part of the world decides to take the stuff that I've worked the last 17 years to build and create, and takes that and wants to use it for themselves and rips off my course or my book or my brand butler or whatever I have, any of my AI tools that I've built out, like whatever they have, like, how do I protect myself and make it affordable so that I'm not like, because the amount of stuff that I'm creating, like John said, I've got 11 or 12 different programs. And in the past, when I've gotten quotes from people, it's like just a trademark alone usually is on the low side, $1,500 to $2,500, right? And then it comes to like actually protecting my IP and like any of my programs or courses before I've even made $1, right? Like I might not even make any money out of the gate on one of my courses, and then 3 to 6 months later, all of a sudden it starts making money. How do I know when to invest and when not to invest into protecting that IP?
That's a great question. And one thing I'd just like to clarify in answering your question is that, yes, we work for a lot of smaller clients. We also work for, Forbes 2000 clients that are publicly traded. And what's great is that gives us more resources, more manpower, so that we're better able to help those startup or individual clients, because we're going to give you that same level of treatment that we give everybody. That's the philosophy of everybody here. From the day I start working with them, they all know that, we want everyone to be treated the same. We want everyone to walk away never feeling like they were disrespected or didn't get access to the best advice we could give. Moving to the next comment, of course, is the very valuable other aspects of IP, which are entering the trademark region, the copyright region, contractual region. And the first thing that you would want to think about is which countries do you want protection in? Because with a few exceptions, such as in parts of the EU, trademark rights, trademark protection mechanisms are via country. In general, there are a couple exceptions. So now, what does that mean? It means if we organize trademark protection for you in the US, someone started knocking you off in China, you might not be able to stop them in China, but we've had situations where then the person in China is bringing it into the US. Once it crosses the border, once it's on sites that are being accessed in the US, now they're infringing in the US. So you don't have to have IP in another country to protect the US market, even if it's being made abroad. Now, we do have clients for which we pursue protection abroad. It is a case-by-case scenario, and we're always very careful to go through sort of a pro and con with clients, because foreign protection can be more pricey than in the US, and it's very important not to hurt a business by putting too much money on the legal side. So the answer is, if you had specific needs in another country, and we talked about it, let's say you have a manufacturer there, let's say a distributor there, a strong concern, then we can get you some estimates and talk about it. But I would always caution, and I always do, even for those clients that routinely file abroad, just the fact that, are you sure this is how you want to spend your money? Because for many businesses, if you can lock down the US market, that's enough. Now, to the most important, well, another aspect of your question was, well, what about the documentation, the presentations, all the rest? Well, that's a very important aspect of IP. And what I'll say is that's trademarks and copyrights. And trademarks are so crucial. They're both crucial, but I'm going to start with trademarks, and I'll move to copyrights afterwards instead of bouncing back and forth. The trademark side, a lot of people underestimate them. If anyone comes to us with a new product, as soon as we're done talking about protecting it, my next question is, are you selling it yourself? Because if you're selling it yourself, you need your branding. You need to get that locked down. We need to figure it out. If you're just selling it to somebody else, your patent, they'll figure out the branding. You don't need to worry about that. Trademarks are, in the short term, typically, from a manufacturer's point of view, less valuable than the patent, but in the long run, they're much more valuable. And then quick example, Nike. When they first came out with the Nike shoe, you heard nothing about all the technology. This is showing my age. They had them come out. These shoes are amazing. It's a brand new technology in the heel, and that's almost all they talked about. And then occasionally you hear, oh, there's a swoosh, and just do it. Well, as time progressed, you started seeing more of the trademark and the branding, Nike, Just Do It, all this other stuff. You start hearing less and less about technology. Today, compared to before when they first started, you hear much less about the technology. And the reason is, at some point, your patents expire. Your trademarks will codify your goodwill, your identity to the public. Properly maintained, they go forever. So trademarks are exceedingly valuable. Another great example, and you don't have to have patents at all. Trademarks are critical for every single business out there. And a lot of businesses don't realize. What I always say is, a failing business will not be saved by trademarks, but a successful business will increase their return on investment with trademarks and proper branding done by you. You will hopefully get together with the business owner, give them a good brand, give them a good slogan, logos, a whole package of branding. And then once you protect that over time, that develops its own cash value. So when you go to sell your business, there's a bakery that we did a lot of branding for over 10 years ago. They're trying to sell, and they're just putting a dollar item of $50,000 for the trademarks. Why? Someone buys that bakery, they're getting nationwide rights within the industry exclusive to their branding. They're the only ones who can use it. So now that's one case. It could be worth more depending on the business. So trademarks are really valuable. A good thing to do is actually work in collaboration with someone like you, because if early on you think you really love a brand and you're going to style a lot of branding around it, it never hurts. Take a quick look, talk about it, because occasionally there's another reason why maybe that is not the most protectable brand. And this is just a quick aside, but there are some very established businesses that come to us, and they're only now, for whatever reason, beginning to think about branding. And what we find out is their brand is not that strong. And that's always a difficult conversation. What I try to explain to them is, look, you're going to be in business for another 15 years. If we carefully do a co-branding campaign where we introduce another brand, slowly transfer over, in the long run, you're going to win. And during that transfer period, you're not going from today we're A, tomorrow we're B. It's A, and look at the new name we're adopting. And you market to the world and to your existing clients, so everyone understands the change that's coming. And maybe you do it over a year, and little by little you change the prominence, et cetera. And some people are like, yes, I understand, and it's great, the change. If you're going from a name that's not protectable to a name that's protectable, you've gone from someone where someone can pick up your name in another state, in another town, down the street, to someone who now you've got a protected, unique business identity. That's going to enhance your business. On the copyright side, you talked about programs you develop. Programs you develop, it's not as, it depends on what you're doing. Let's say you're making videos for people. You've got a business where you're making long videos. Videos are ideal for copyright protection. The problem is usually someone has so many of them. So you might say, well, what are your most valuable videos and do you want to protect them? Perhaps you have a teaching manual. That would be the sort of thing that would be suitable for copyright protection. There's never necessarily a perfect fit, but what we do is we'll look at what are you doing and say, here are some different ways to approach things. So if you have a masthead video, that could be a very valuable item if it's on the top of your website. Sometimes you can file 4 different copyrights on one video. If you have a lot of consulting groups use complicated diagrams that are made up by designers such as you to explain how they deliver their services, their value add. Let's say you're consulting for the government or an agency or a hospital, and you're trying to show them how you deliver value to the patients. That's something that you would copyright. So we will just look at what you've got. I guess the very last thing is employment agreements as well. Depending on what you're doing, it's advisable to have the appropriate employment agreements in place. That's also very valuable. That's kind of irrespective of what business you're in, but that will let people know, okay, you're not allowed to take what I'm giving you and walk somewhere else and reproduce it. Or maybe you say, depending on your state, I don't want you opening up a business that does what I do within a mile. Or it could just be, you know what, if you're going to change all your passwords and everything else on the computer that you're using, you have to notify us of that. Yeah. All those things that subtly relate to intellectual property, including if you hire someone because you maybe are so busy you can't do 100% of the work. So you give your booklet to someone and say, you know what, I want you to create this in my direction. This is what I want. They prepare it and you're like, that's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. A lot of people think that because you paid that person for it, you would own the copyright. Absent a contract, you wouldn't, because you only get the copyright if someone works for you full time. If you just hire a designer to work for you part-time, that copyright wouldn't transfer. So I guess I'll stop there and you can ask any follow-up questions. I tried to kind of hit everything you mentioned.
Yeah, no, that you hit a lot, and I think those are really good answers. The one thing that was left in my mind that I've thought about this quite a bit when it comes to hiring somebody is whether I file a copyright for Instagraphics or Crunchy Cottage or whatever the brand is that I have that I want to protect, not a copyright, but a trademark for those brands. Then there's the whole side of like, okay, well, somebody does infringe upon it, right? Sending a cease and desist letter and say they don't stop, right? Then you have the whole other fiasco of now you
I am so glad you asked that. That hopefully people have not checked out of this podcast, because while this answer may not be the most important, that's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, it's like contracts are only good as the paper they're written on, right? If someone's not going to actually take the time to like pursue it and enforce their copyright or enforce their trademark or enforce their IP, then what good is it? And that's the thing that I've been afraid of is like, I go spend $2,000 to $10,000 copywriting and protecting and doing all this stuff on an attorney, but then I turn around in 6 months from now and I find somebody using my stuff. Now I got to spend a whole nother boatload of money just to try to protect it. For what? Especially if the company has no money. If they're a broke solo graphic designer that's taken my Instagraphics brand and they made a Facebook page for Instagraphics and they went and took it and built a little Facebook group, or they did something similar to what I did. What, I can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. So then what good is the copyright or the trademark or the, any of that?
Absolutely. And the answer to that, there's a pithy answer. I'm going to skip it one thing, but the answer is that's a great question. And it's a huge mistake that young business owners make. They think, you know what? Trademarks are for IBM, Apple, BGE. Actually, the big guys, if you're making a couple $1 million a year in revenue and profits and you mess it up, you can fix it to some degree, hopefully. It costs you a lot. Smaller business, you have to do it right from the start. But the beautiful thing is, if you do it right from the start, regardless of the size of business, you are going to minimize your legal enforcement costs. And people don't realize that with trademarks. Trademarks are very powerful. Having, and what I explain to clients is this is right up your alley. You prepare a brand, someone comes to, I'm going to get to the money. Sorry, I kind of skipped I skipped the punchline. Someone comes to you and they get a brand for their new business. They're very excited and all this. And in their mind, they think, I own this. This is my brand. And what I always tell people is not yours. If you don't have it protected by federal trademark registrations, you don't own it. Okay, you think you own it. But especially in this world of the internet, I guarantee people someone's looking at it right as soon as you've launched some other state, thinking they want to get into your business, your line of business, and they're like, that's a cool name, I'm going to use that. So, you know, it's when I talk about love and flattery. You know, they say copying is the most sincere form of flattery. However, unwanted love is no good. And unwanted love is when someone loves your brand so much they're going to start using it, and it's guaranteed it's going to happen if it's not protected. How do you own the brand that you do? You own it once you protect it with either copyrights or trademarks. Everything we do, well, look at it. If they're investing in you, that means they want to own it, they value it, and they need to protect it to own it. Now, here's to get to the main point, or an additional point. What do they do if they're being knocked off? What a lot of people don't appreciate is that having a federal trademark registration can lower your enforcement costs by 90%.
Wow.
90%. Okay, so that's the difference. The reality is, if you don't do it right, if you don't register your brands, like you were talking about that smaller graphic artist, someone knocks you off, you're not protected, you're done. You're SOL. Okay, why? Because it's going to cost you $40,000, $60,000 to sue. You're probably looking at common law trademark rights since you haven't filed anything. And you're usually coming to the party a little late, so it's just more expensive. And the other person's very likely to just say, you know what, I'm not interested in hearing what you have to say. They'll only respond if you go up and step into a lawsuit. The difference, now if you have a registration, what happens? Then you come to someone like me, we will evaluate your intellectual property and your brand. We'll look at the other business, look at, investigate them. We'll send a cease and desist letter. Most of the reason why your costs drop by 90% is as soon as the other person gets a letter, they're going to be, oh, let me talk to my attorney. When you have a registration, a trademark registration, the test, the factors that are needed for infringement are reduced. That's what lowers the cost. You're boiling a lot of legal tests that you would need to prove in court, you no longer need to. So you've reduced the test to a point where the two attorneys, mean that we're going to talk. And I guarantee you that within 1 to 2 hours, both sides are going to know who's most likely to prevail, and that's going to facilitate a settlement. So a perfect example, there's a coffee shop we did all the branding for. We've worked for them for over a decade. We got something settled in another state. It cost them less than $6,000 8 years ago. Recently, 3 people, it's weird, popped up doing something similar, collectively shut down all 3 for less than $6,000. Why? They were properly registered. Now, can you guarantee that? No, obviously. But the vast majority are going to settle. And that's the power, because you reduce the test. And here's the worst part. If you don't register your brand, now you're looking 40, 60,000 plus. Probability of success is dropping to 40 to 50%, because now you're relying on the judge and the jury, and both sides know it. So you're a lot less likely to get desirable rights. You may even end up getting stuck with geographic rights, so that the other person, if they're in another region of the country, they'll have rights there, you have rights here. Now you're really screwed. You'll never have national rights. You have that trademark registration. You've cut your costs sometimes as low as $3,000 to $5,000. And on top of that, you go in knowing you have a 90 to 95% chance of victory. It's why you have to do it even when you're small, because otherwise it's really the same as just leaving your credit card at the credit card and driver's license at the table when you leave a meal. It's just as bad, because you're just leaving yourself open to bad actors.
Got it. That's super helpful. That's
Okay.
very, very helpful. Yeah, to know that the cost is so dramatically much less, that's huge.
So that's one huge benefit.
The other thing that
And
the other thing that you had touched on, which should also peak, like this year alone, I've sold now 6 businesses. People come to me wanting to sell their companies, right? And a lot of it, I mean, it's a huge gold mine for all 3 of us the next 5 to 10 years, because there's like what 12.5 million baby boomer owned businesses that are either looking to either sell, shut down, something. And there's a lot of intellectual property. What I'm hearing you say is, okay, when I trademark stuff, when I patent stuff, especially trademarks, okay, that I have done my protection and due diligence with to protect upon the sale of the business, those actually have value.
huge value. And as a matter of fact, there's a reason why any exit plan, if you go and look at a book about exit planning, there's almost always a section on IP, and business plans, there's almost always a section on IP. What I would say is absolutely, and what you want to do is you really want to think through, if it's great if you've got your name protected, but you know what, ideally first of all, if you're established, maybe you have a situation where you don't have something protected. You picked a bad name, you've been very successful for 20 years, but it's a sort of name that can't be protected. Co-branding will allow you, if you've got another 5-10 years before you're going to sell, to get something that becomes well-known in the industry, transfer all your goodwill over, and now you're going to add to the value when you sell. And in addition, you should really be thinking about comprehensive branding portfolio and overlapping brands. In other words, if you're selling insurance, you've got your company name, you've got your insurance line names, you have your slogan. You want to be letting people know when you sell your company that you are giving them a portfolio of overlapping brands that represent terminology, images, slogans, etc., that can only be used by your company within your industry. So absolutely.
Valuable.
So one of the things that, kind of switching gears here a little bit, because we're getting ready to run out of time, is for all of you that are not here, okay, and you're going to be listening to this recording, okay, want to kind of point out that what you have on this call today are 3 people that are potential major, what I call POIs, okay, persons of influence. And if you've ever listened to any of my recordings, you've ever been on any of these mastermind calls, follow me at all for the last 12, 13 years, POI is the #1 way to build your business. Okay. So you look for people that go after the exact same client you go after, except they're going after them for a whole different reason. And so when I had a chance to meet you, Ruy, I'm like, every single client that I have ever had as a coach or consultant, every single client I currently have, and every single client I'm going to have going forward is a client for you. Okay. And that's why Adrian and I are doing joint ventures together, because every single client is a client for Adrian, past, present, future, and vice versa for Adrian. So one of the things I want to share with the 2 of you is, and everybody listening to this call, okay, this is one of those things where a light bulb goes on. It's like, wait, I actually now have a reason to contact every single past client, every single present client, every single prospect I have now, because I have a reason to contact them. Okay. And so to make it real, so everybody has something to be able to walk away with today, is, let's just say I'm calling up Adrian, right? Adrian's been a client of mine, I'm a client of his, and we're doing joint ventures together, right? So, and Adrian and I do this all the time. So we're gonna role play this, okay? And I'm gonna act like you are another client of mine, somewhere else, okay? So actually, no, just be yourself, because this is gonna apply to everything. So go ahead and answer the phone, right?
Yo, what's up, John?
What's going on, dude? How you doing?
Amazing. Great
Awesome.
day.
Hey, I want to send you the reason for the call is I was thinking about you. I just got off this mastermind call, and we interviewed this guy named Ruy. Okay, Garcia Zamora is his last name. He's out in Maryland, and he's a patents and trademark attorney. And one of the things that he said on there that I thought was very interesting is if you don't have your brands, your programs, your systems, your processes protected with a trademark, your cost to protect that goes up significantly, like 90% more. Okay.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, which I thought was very interesting, especially when I thought about you, is like all this branding work, all this stuff that you've done for almost 20 years, for all these past clients that you've had. I don't know if you realize or not, all that is your actual intellectual property, come to find out. It's not actually theirs.
Yep.
Yeah. And so one of the things I would recommend you do is reach out to all of your customers. First of all, I'm going to do an email introduction to you and Ruy, okay? Because you really need to know this guy. This guy is going to be one of your new best friends, okay? But this gives you a reason to contact every single past client that you've ever had, okay? I'll send you a copy of the recording that we did today. You're a video guy, right? Edit the parts, make a little promo video for this type of stuff, okay? And send it to them to educate them on the fact that all the stuff they paid you $20, $30, $40, $50, $100,000 for is actually not theirs.
Yeah.
But you, because you love them so much, okay, you went out and found a guy that can help them, okay? And you want to introduce them to him so that he can help them trademark and patent and negotiate a deal between you and the client about how they want to buy that intellectual property and own it, and he can help them protect it. Okay, that's one idea. The other idea is every single client you have in the hopper right now that you're working with and going forward, this is one of those upsells at the end.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now that I've created all this stuff for you, now that I've created your brand and your trademark and your logo and all this stuff, okay, I'm going to connect you with my branding, patent trademarks attorney that I have a really good relationship with. And I'm just going to do a warm handoff. Okay. And he's going to help you protect all this stuff.
That's exciting.
Okay. And so the only reason I'm bringing this up is like you just make a list. You have in your CRM, you have a whole brand new prospect list. But then you get an excuse on how to go back and contact your people. Ruy happens to be on this. Now Ruy gets to go to every single client he's ever had, okay? And current, past, present, go, hey, I talked to this guy. This guy's a business doctor, okay? This guy Adrian's a branding and marketing expert, okay? They're on my team now, and you guys should talk to them because not only am I going to protect your stuff, but they're going to help you blow your stuff up. And so all of us have, when you're talking about POIs and you're looking at that synergy and working together, this is how companies blow up without dropping. Now I know this, you don't want to hear this, Adrian, without dropping a tremendous amount of money on marketing. This is what differentiates somebody with a 35% closing ratio to a 90% closing ratio is through referrals, quality referrals.
Okay? That's right.
And so I hope that helps everybody out. And Adrian, you got any other questions for Ruy? Ruy, you got any questions for us?
Well, I'd just like to mention while we're speaking with all of your mastermind members that we work throughout the U.S. So it doesn't matter what state you're located in. We represent clients in all the different states. So you don't have to find an attorney in your state because everything with intellectual property is under federal law. So just wanted to make sure they're aware of that. And John, I want to say, thank you so much for having me here. Adrian, nice to meet you. I say I'm so impressed, getting to know you, John. It's clear how you built your companies and, how you can really help people. And that's what I just want to say. It's really nice. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you even better over time. So.
Same.
Well, thanks a lot, man. And this kind of gives me and Adrian an opportunity to come out of the closet, if you will, for the lack of a better word, which is me, Adrian, his business partner Chris. We've been having these conversations, and we're not going to let I'm not going to let the whole thing out of the bag yet, but we had decided to form and join forces because there's a tremendous amount of opportunity out there for small business owners. And the timing of you being here, Ruy, is a godsend for us because we're looking to develop going after small and mid-sized businesses and literally creating a one-stop shop consulting firm where we have many experts in different areas of business. Okay. And because I'm a master at business strategy, business planning, and accountability. Okay? That is literally, if you were to contact any of my long-term clients, they would say, here I am 8 years later, month to month with John, and I still am paying him. And these are the three only reasons I actually pay him is he is an unbelievable strategist. He gives me the fastest path to my goal, and he holds my butt accountable every week. That is the only thing they're going to say. It's not like I'm teaching them anything new, right? And the same thing with Adrian. It's like, he's like I said, a Jedi master when it comes to marketing and branding and getting attention and getting you to stand out amongst everybody else in your space and literally dominate your space. Now I'm looking forward to adding you to our team, which, patents, trademarks, being our literal Jedi master, if you will, at that type of space to protect our clients' intellectual property. Patents make their company more valuable. So when we do, and this is part of the reason we're forming this company, is too many small business owners we've taken on this year, they're 15, 20, 25 years in business, and they can't sell anything because they haven't protected anything and they don't have anything systemized or optimized or anything. And that's where our partner Chris is coming in, is he is an unbelievably Jedi master when it comes to processes, systems, and procedures. And so so I want everybody to hear what I'm saying, because hopefully this gets chopped up in a short video, is when you do business with any of us three on this call, you're going to get access to all of us as a network. And that's where you, as a small business owner, most small business owners are great mechanics. They're great at that one thing. And then they wake up one day and they go, you know what? I am sick and tired of watching my boss make all that money. Okay. So I'm going to go open up my own thing. And within about a month, they go, oh crap. I didn't know about taxes. I didn't know about HR. I didn't know about bookkeeping. I didn't realize it was all this. And that's typically where they'll come to me or some of my friends or colleagues, and we're able to give them a solution. Specifically, we are going after that $1 to $5 million space, because most business owners can get themselves to 2.5 to 3 million. And then they wake up one day and they go, wait, I'm working 75 hours a week. I've never seen my kid just turned 16. I haven't seen him since he was 13. And the doctor says I've got some sort of heart condition now, and I'm only 42. I can't tell you how many business owners have come to me in that condition. Literally, the doctor's like, if you don't change something, you're going to end up dead by the time you're 45. And yeah, you make all this money, but once I get under the covers and they pull it back, they're a mess. And we want to be able to come to them and go, listen, we can take all that heavy lifting off of you and put it there. So I'm super excited to be able to have had this conversation with you today, Ruy. Thanks so much for giving us your time. And I'm so looking forward to working with you, man.
Oh, great. I'm
Likewise.
looking forward to it as well. And Adrian, it's so nice to meet you. I look forward to talking with you further.
Likewise.
So Ruy, before we go, tell people, so it goes out, how do they connect with you?
Best thing to do, send me an email. My email address is firstname@lastname.com, Garcia-Zamora.com. You see the name up there, Garcia-Zamora, on my virtual banner. It's Garcia-Zamora.com. If you go there, you'll see all our contact information. or call John or call Adrian. They'll give you my contact information, and not hard to find. Plus, you type Garcia Zamora attorney into a Google search bar, you're going to find us. So there are many different ways, but definitely. And
Awesome.
phone number, you really want 410-531-9853, extension 101. So, but really, we're very easy to find. I'd say the best thing to do is call John. Email John, email me. I look forward to speaking with you.
Yeah. All right, guys, have a blessed day, and
You too.
we'll chat with you guys later.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.